I'm pulling my weight in gold. Got me anxious, got me broke, but I can't live this on my own.
I think we've been about as active as you can possibly be, and at a just about record-setting pace. If we had the greatest bill in the history of the world on health care, we wouldn't get one vote from the Democrats because they're obstructionists. That's what they want to do.
But then cabinet members were invited to speak, and that's when it all got a tad unusual.
Greatest privilege of my life is to serve as vice president to a president who's keeping his word to the American people.
President, what an incredible honor it is to lead the Department of Health and Human Services at this pivotal time under your leadership. I can't thank you enough for the privilege that you've given me.
Hundreds and hundreds of people were just so thrilled, hanging out, watching the whole ceremony. I want to thank you for getting this country moving again.
The entire senior staff around you, Mr. President, we thank you for the opportunity and the blessing that you've given us to serve your agenda.
Welcome back to Ergo, everybody. I'm your host, Brandon, here in Ohio. And what you just saw was a highlight reel from Donald Trump's first cabinet meeting. Now, his cabinet is composed of his most senior level advisors, including the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the Attorney General, etc., etc., etc. I'm not going to unpack and unravel this video because it is truly impossible for me to describe the level of discomfort I felt watching that nonsense. Today's episode is going to be about testimonies. As you know, James Comey, the former FBI director, testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee June 8th, 2017. And most recently, the Attorney General, my favorite, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, made his testimony before that same committee on June 13th, 2017. We're going to break all those testimonies down into three separate segments. First being James Comey's written testimony first, The second being his in-person testimony. And the third being Attorney General Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III's testimony. Before we dive into everything, it is important for everyone to remember that we gotta have this context before we get into the content. It is very important, in order for democracy to work, that the White House and whoever the President of the United States is, and the Department of Justice act independently of each other. That is to say that although the President can hire and fire the Attorney General, hire and fire the FBI Director as he or she wants to, it is important that they still operate independently from each other. Because that's how we find ourselves in situations like this, where the former FBI Director James Comey was investigating the so-called President of the United States, Donald Trump, and Donald Trump fired him. This is why they should be acting independently from each other. I, however, continue to make the argument of how can they operate independently from each other when the President can hire and fire the leads of those two departments. But that's another discussion for another time. So let's jump right into this written testimony from James Comey. On January 6, 2017, before Donald Trump took office, James Comey and a group of intelligence officials got together. They went to Trump Tower. They went to go brief him on how the Russians had hacked and attacked the United States election process. Afterwards, it was agreed upon, I repeat, it was agreed upon for James Comey to meet with Donald Trump independently in a one-on-one setting so that James Comey could brief him on that salacious dossier. The dossier I'm referring to is an intelligence report that was accumulated by a British spy going by the alias of Christopher Steele. So Christopher Steele had all this information it's unverified information, let me say that so I don't get sued by anybody, all of this unverified information on how Trump campaign officials were having secret communications with Russian government officials, and no one knew about it until the British spy turned over this intelligence information to our spies, or the FBI, whatever you want to call them. Now, it is important to note that nearly everything in that salacious dossier is very accurate except for one part. And this is what makes it salacious. The report says that one day Donald Trump went to Russia, and obviously he stayed in a hotel. The hotel he stayed in was the same one that former President Barack Obama stayed in. What does Donald Trump do? He went and asked to stay in the same room that former President Barack Obama once stayed in. And supposedly he hired a gang of hookers to come over and have a piss party and piss on everything, because that's how much Donald Trump supposedly hates Barack Obama. I find it personally very unlikely that that happened, but we are talking about Donald Trump. Moving forward, on January 27th, 2017, Donald Trump says he invited, I say he forced, James Comey to the White House for an impromptu dinner. James Comey went with the expectation that it would be more than just him and Donald Trump, but boy was he wrong. Donald Trump tried to create an atmosphere of manipulation. He was asking James Comey whether or not he wanted to stay as the lead of the FBI because, quote, a lot of people wanted that position. To quote Mr. Comey directly, quote, my instincts told me that the one-on-one setting and the pretense that this is our first discussion about my position meant the dinner was, at least in part, an effort to have me ask for my job and create some sort of patronage relationship, end quote. It was during that dinner that Donald Trump also told James Comey on 2 separate occasions, I expect loyalty and I need loyalty. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2017, James Comey went with a gang of government officials to the White House and the Oval Office so they could have a counterterrorism briefing. At the end of that briefing, Donald Trump signaled it was the end, and he told everybody to get out and that he wanted to speak with James Comey on his own. However, the Attorney General, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, whom was James Comey's immediate supervisor at the time, and Jared Kushner, tried to stay behind because they were wondering what was going on. Donald Trump still insisted that they leave. It was then that Donald Trump said to former FBI Director James Comey, hey, you know, the guy I fired, Mike Flynn, who is known to have all of these secret treasonous Russian connections, the guy I just fired, Mike Flynn, he's a good guy. He's done nothing wrong. So, Comey, I want you to, I hope you can see your way clear on this. I hope you can let this go. After the conversation, James Comey states that he went to the Attorney General, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, whom, remember, was his immediate supervisor, and told him how inappropriate it was for him to have a one-on-one meeting with Donald Trump in a setting like that. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III offered no reply. It is so important, this part right here, not only for the fact that Donald Trump said, I hope, which we're going to touch on later, but it is also important to note that James Comey himself stated that from 2013, which was the year that President Barack Obama hired him, all the way until President Barack Obama left office in 2017, he had only had 2 private one-on-one meetings with President Barack Obama. However, from January 2017 to now, James Comey has documented 9 several separate one-on-one, inappropriate, unprofessional meetings as regarded from Donald Trump. On March 30th, 2017, Donald Trump called James Comey because he had a problem. During this call, Donald Trump said this: Russia is a cloud that is impairing my ability to act on behalf of the country, end quote. He asked James Comey to then lift the cloud. Additionally, Trump threw his own team under the bus in true cowardly fashion. This is what he said, and this is how he did it. Quote, he went on to say that if there were some satellite associates of his who did something wrong, it would be good to find that out, but that he hadn't done anything wrong, and again hoped Mr. Comey would find a way to get it out that the FBI wasn't investigating him, end quote. On April 11, 2017, Donald Trump called James Comey again. He wanted to follow up on his hope that James Comey would go out in public and say that Donald Trump had nothing to do whatsoever with Russia. James Comey told him, I did it the proper way by speaking to the Department of Justice about your request. I'm still waiting to hear back. Donald Trump, in a tizzy, got all mad and started beating on his chest, saying, well, fine, I'll just call them myself. And as James Comey stated in his written testimony, that was the last time he spoke to so-called President Donald Trump. So, that was the written testimony in a nutshell. So let's take a quick break. After that, we'll come back and discuss the in-person testimony from James Comey.
Ergo wants to be the platform for you to express your political thoughts. Please feel free to join the discussion via phone, video, or in person. To set up an interview, contact The Ergo Show at Outlook.com.
Welcome back, everybody. With the in-person testimony of James Comey, the Democrats felt like they were going to have the smoking gun to finally get Donald Trump out of the White House. However, after the testimony, the Republicans were going around saying that Donald Trump was vindicated by the James Comey testimony. They went as far as saying that James Comey had freed him of all wrongdoing altogether. However, both parties are very confused from my point of view, because James Comey's testimony was very truthful, and by it being truthful, he gave both parties something to take home with them to sell as propaganda to their followers. Number one, Comey confirmed what was already common sense and public knowledge. He stated in the testimony in the actual hearing that Donald Trump, was a liar. Plain and simple. It's in this video seen here.
The administration then chose to defame me, and more importantly, the FBI, by saying that the organization was in disarray, that it was poorly led, that the workforce had lost confidence in its leader. Those were lies, plain and simple.
What was it about?
James Comey went on to state that he was worried that Donald Trump would attempt to lie about the substance of their meetings. That is why he wrote memos contemporaneously or in time with each meeting, so that Donald Trump would have no way of saying that he lied, and that James Comey would have evidence to back him up, which was a very smart move. Remember, as I told you before, that hell, all of us probably need to start utilizing that practice more in our personal lives with people. Number two, Comey made it known that he felt like Donald Trump was attempting to influence, to obstruct, to stop the Russia investigation. And he was making that point known in a very interesting moment with Senator Risch, seen in this video.
There's 28 words there that are in quotes, and it says, quote, I hope, this is the president speaking, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go. Now, those are his exact words. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you wrote them here and you put them in quotes?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that. He did not direct you to let it go.
Not in his words, no.
He did not order you to let it go.
Again, those words are not an order.
No. He said, I hope. Now, like me, you probably did hundreds of cases, maybe thousands of cases, charging people with criminal offenses. And of course, you have knowledge of the thousands of cases out there that where people have been charged. Do you know of any case where a person has been charged for obstruction of justice, or for that matter, any other criminal offense, where they said or thought they hoped for an outcome?
I don't know well enough to answer. And the reason I keep saying his words is, I took it as a direction.
Right.
I mean, this is the President of the United States, with me alone, saying, I hope this. I took it as, this is what he wants me to do. Now, I didn't obey that, but that's the way I took it.
You may have taken it as a direction, but that's not what he said.
Correct. That's why
He said, I hope.
those are exact words, correct.
You don't know of anyone that's ever been charged for hoping something. Is that a fair statement?
I don't as I sit here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That moment was very interesting to me because of the fact that Senator Reich has the reputation of being the most conservative member of Congress, and he has a lot of respect from the Republican Party. What's also interesting is the fact that he was saying that since Donald Trump used the word hope, he was therefore not directly ordering Comey to obstruct or to stop or to influence the investigation whatsoever. He went on to say that no one ever has been convicted of obstruction of justice by simply using the word hope. But, of course, I'm about to take a moment to debunk that argument. In 2008, the 8th Circuit Appeals Court confirmed the prosecution of someone for obstruction of justice. And it was partly because they used the word, I hope. Okay? I would also like to propose for the record some arguments that I tweeted directly to Senator Reich's mentions on Twitter. Here we go. Argument 1, quote, terrorist kills innocent people in hopes of inciting fear. The operative word is not hope, end quote. Argument 2, angry husband beats wife in hopes she will obey him. The operative word isn't hope, end quote. Argument 3, quote, the Russians hacked our election with hope that Donald Trump would be elected. The operative word isn't hope, end quote. So, as I said, I tweeted those directly to Senator Reich, and I hope that he sees them, and should he respond, I will gladly let all of you know, although I find that very doubtful that he will, but they're out there. Senator Reich, if you ever come across this, check your mentions, because I really would like to hear from you regarding those arguments that I proposed to you. Moving forward to point 3, Comey confirmed through implication that the special prosecutor, Robert Mueller, or Bob Mueller, I don't know how everyone's pronouncing his name, but it looks like Mueller to me. Anyways, that the special prosecutor is indeed investigating Donald Trump for obstruction of justice in this video seen here.
I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct. I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning, but that's a conclusion I'm sure the special counsel will work towards to try and understand what the intention was there and whether that's an offense.
In point 4, for the 90th time, Comey confirmed that it was Russia, and that it was only Russia, without a doubt whatsoever, that hacked the United States election.
Should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose, they did it with sophistication, they did it with overwhelming technical efforts, and it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community, and the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call. That happened. That's about as unfake as you can possibly get, and is very, very serious, which is why it's so refreshing to see a bipartisan focus on that, because this is about America, not about any particular party.
Now, while Comey did testify that he told Donald Trump he was not under investigation personally himself for matters related to Russia. He also went on to state that he did not let the public know this because there might come a time where they might have to correct that statement. Furthermore, Comey gave the building blocks to a case for the special prosecutor Bob Mueller to investigate Donald Trump on obstruction of justice. Donald Trump also decided to be a wise guy and threaten James Comey before the testimony when he said that he has tapes of their conversations. This is the picture of that tweet where he says, quote, James Comey better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to press, end quote. Then after the testimony, Donald Trump, of course, let his feelings be known about James Comey's testimony, seen here.
President, I want to get back to James Comey's testimony. You suggested he didn't tell the truth in everything he said. He did say under oath that you told him to let the Flynn, you said you hoped the Flynn investigation he could
I didn't say that.
So he lied about that.
Well, I didn't say that. I mean, I will tell you, I didn't say that.
And did he ask you to pledge his
And there'd be
loyalty?
nothing wrong if I did say it, according to everybody that I've read today, but I did not say that.
And did he ask for a pledge of loyalty from you? That's another thing he said.
No, he did not.
So he said those things under oath. Would you be willing to speak under oath to give your version of those events?
100%. I didn't say under oath. I hardly know the man. I'm not going to say, I want you to pledge allegiance. Who would do that? Who would ask a man to pledge allegiance under oath? I mean, think of it. I hardly know the man. It doesn't make sense. No, I didn't say that, and I didn't say the other.
So if Robert Mueller wanted to speak with you about that,
I would be glad to tell him exactly what I just told you, John.
And you seem to be hinting that there are recordings of those conversations.
I'm not hinting anything. I'll tell you about it over a very short period of time. When is that? Okay?
Meanwhile, the House Speaker Paul Ryan let his feelings and his thoughts be known, seen here.
Look, as far as the conversations and all of that, I'm not going to speculate on any of this. I would just add that, of course, there needs to be a degree of independence between DOJ, FBI, and a White House, and a line of communications established. The president's new at this. He's new to government. And so he probably wasn't steeped in the long-running protocols that establish the relationships between DOJ, FBI, and White Houses. He's just new to this. And so I think...
So I would just like to point out that Paul Ryan's defense of Donald Trump is that he's new to this. It's almost as if being ignorant, being dumb, being an idiot is acceptable to the Republican Party, or at least to Paul Ryan. It's certainly good enough to be the so-called president of the United States, according to Paul Ryan, because he's just new to this. I would like to point out and inform, more than likely, Paul Ryan that being ignorant to the law does not make you exempt from it. I would also like Paul Ryan to go and look at his mentions on Twitter, because I tweeted him the following things. Quote, so you're a policy expert, Speaker Ryan, right? If Billy was your new coworker and slapped you sillier than you are, is this battery, or is he hashtag new to this? End quote. Quote, if a congressman-elect body slams a reporter, is he unfit for office or hashtag new to this? End quote. Quote, if a white police officer shot an unarmed black teen civilian because he was fearful for his life, is this murder or is he hashtag new to this? End quote. We have fun here. Well, I have fun here. What can I say? I certainly enjoy trolling people with facts, trolling people with arguments that they can't debunk. It's too easy with the Republican Party at this point. Anyways, after the break, we're going to break down Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III's testimony, and trust me, it won't take long.
Ergo wants to be the platform for you to express your political thoughts. Please feel free to join the discussion via phone, video, or in person. To set up an interview, contact The Ergo Show at Outlook.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Now we're about to break down the testimony of Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I would like for you to please pay attention to the little timestamp in the upper left-hand corner of the next clip that I'm getting ready to show you. And to those who are listening over iTunes or podcasts, please note that each clip is a different time. You'll get the point when you hear it. Here it is.
I did not have any private meetings, nor do I recall any conversations with any Russian officials at the Mayflower Hotel. I do not have any recollection. I do not remember it. I did not remember that. If I had remembered it, or if it actually occurred, which I don't remember that it did. I don't know about these reports. I don't recall it. It's conceivable that occurred. I just don't remember it. I still do not recall it, not to my recollection. I don't have any recollection. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I'd have to rack my brain, but I don't recall it. Don't think I had any direct involvement, so I don't recall that. I cannot say with certainty I did not. Have no recollection of a discussion. I don't recall any such meeting. I don't recall any such conversation. I don't recall it. I have racked my brain, and I do not believe so. I don't recall any. I don't recall it. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't not recall. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't recall. I don't know. I don't recall it. I don't recall that.
And are you aware of
At this moment, I don't believe so. I don't recall whether that was discussed or not. I don't recall that being discussed. I just don't have a real recall of the meeting. I don't recall.
So, my burning question of desire is this. If you can't remember all of that, or any of that, you can't reckon that any of that happened, how the hell are you serving as the Attorney General of the United States of America? You don't even seem qualified to be a public defender for someone being incriminated for petty theft. Anyways, I'll come to conclude after the break. Welcome back, everybody. So, I had an entire script ready to go on my teleprompter, and I had a very good speech that I had prepared to give for this final segment to relate my thoughts on the week, and I thought that I would just throw it away and share a real moment with you guys, because when I got the news of the rumors that Donald Trump was going to fire the special counselor Rob Mueller, I really felt defeated. I really strongly considered giving up on the show and just giving up with this politics stuff altogether, because it affects me as much as I try not to let it affect me, but it angers me. And it angers me because, I don't know, I'm a nurse, so I want to fix everything. I want to help people. I want to heal people. And I can't fix it, at least not now. And that bothers me. It's not that Donald Trump bothers me. It bothers me that I can't fix it. However, I had to remind myself that that was the whole essence of Ergo. That was the whole essence of this show, and why I came to doing this, because I'm going to try to fix it the best that I can. And excuse me, I'm sorry, you guys. This is just me being honest and being real. I just need everybody, somebody somewhere, to let's all reach out, and we all have to make something shake, especially in 2018 with the special elections and the midterm elections, because this has got to stop. This constant backing and forth, and a Republican congressman was just shot at a softball field practicing to have a Democrat versus Republican softball game, and it's just unreal the amount of hate that is going around on both sides. Not just the liberals, not just the conservatives. We're all constantly fighting each other. None of us are right. Right isn't the liberal way. Right isn't the conservative way. Right is right. And it's right in front of us. I guess I'll stop there. This is your episode of Ergo, before you, the people.
I'm pulling my weight in gold. Got me anxious.